Morning, everyone. Kind of a slippery day out there, but glad to have you all here, and we'll open the meeting. And I'll ask for and see if there's any to the agenda. Yep. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I may, if we could add a new item to the agenda after the RCMP, the Alberta Sheriff update from Inspector Delaney and his sergeants.
Okay. So anyway, okay, at this point then we'd ask if there's any what? All in favor. All these rules. Okay, thanks, Peter. Okay, at this point, is there any additions to our agenda? Suzanne?
Thank you. So I'll how would you say I'll move the one that we had just agreed to, unless you were moving that.
Please repeat that.
We needed to have a mover for the additional item to the agenda, so I'll move the additional item.
Okay, all right.
And then we voted already, so we're good. And then the second thing I'll do is I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Then if we move on to the minutes of our previous meeting on September the 9th. Has everyone had a chance to look at that? You okay with it, Jen?
Yep.
Okay, Jen gives me that. All in favor? Carried. Okay, new business. We'll move on to 4.1 at this point. I would ask that our sheriff branch gentleman, Chief Parhar, make your presentation, sir. My apology for your screwing up your name.
Yeah,
I'm pretty careful. I'm pretty good at doing that. You know?
I grew up in the same, so I know how to fix it. We'll go right.
Right ahead, sir.
That work? You have to turn the mic on too. Okay, awesome. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, well, thanks, Jen, first of all, for arranging this. But I wanted to kind of start off to tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. But before I start that, I just wanted to make sure that I actually recognize the RCMP in here. And I want to make sure that what everybody understands and where I'm going with where the province is going with this has nothing to do with the RCMP. And I want to make that perfectly clear. I will not villainize, because everybody wants to take this down this political road of, and you guys will ask as many questions as you want. This is a very informal thing I'm doing for you today to introduce what we're doing. And but I will not villainize the RCMP in any way, moving today or moving forward in any way, because these are hardworking people that are keeping our community safe, and they're just part of the conversation. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. So thank you very much for everything you guys do. I do honestly believe that. I did 30 years in policing myself, so I understand what policing is and what it means in community. So I did want to start off by recognizing that I will not do that. You can ask as many questions about the RCMP as you want, but I'm not gonna play the political game. That's not who I am. So let me make that perfectly clear. So let me start by saying, so I'm Sat Parhar. I live in the MD of Foothills. Actually, I live in, I had an acres just outside Okotoks, and now I'm at Heritage Point. So I was announced to be the new provincial police chief July 2nd. And the province is moving to a new, is that Mr. Aris over there? No, that's not. I know the Aris family. So I took this role for the province. I had retired in 2019. I retired to go into private industry. I ran mental health clinics for 5 years. And then I was asked to see if I would be interested in coming back and becoming the chief of this new initiative in this province. And I thought, what a good opportunity to look at things differently in this province and maybe look at some opportunities for us to be better. Working with our communities, working better with our law enforcement partners, and all the things that are happening in this province. We're 5 million people plus now. I think it's time that this province kind of owned our decisions. We owned our issues. I think we're long overdue and not relying so much on Ottawa to tell us things that are important from the Ottawa perspective, although it's a very, very important piece of the conversation. But I think it's an important way for us to kind of move into that next direction of what this province stands for. So I took this role in July, and I'm in the midst of now building a team, building our policies, building the things that are required, and to kind of see where the gaps are in the province to help support the RCMP and other law enforcement partners. I'm actively working with the Calgary Police Service, Edmonton Police Service, working with K Division on some issues and some things that we can work on together. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So just to give you an idea of what the plan here is, so you guys understand what's going on here. I am taking over what's called the sheriffs. So the sheriff, these fellows back here, the 1,200 sheriffs that are within the province of Alberta, will be, I will be the chief of that division of the government. At the same time, I'm building a police service for the province, and that police service will have every piece of, just think of a policing organizational chart, right from support sections to highway traffic, to all the things that a police service requires, from forensics to everything. We're building that at the same time here. It's kind of a long game, but there's going to be some small wins at the beginning here that we're going to try and achieve. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we have the support of the provincial government. We have the support of the federal government in this transition. And that's kind of where we're at now. So I've said a lot there. Is there any questions that anybody has of me at this point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please, there we go. Sorry, you just said one of your focus is building a new, can you finish that for me again?
A provincial police service. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Anything else?
Go ahead, Artie.
So, okay, well, thanks for that. So would the intent then be kind of build in the Calgary Police Service and the Edmonton Police Service to build some efficiencies in the system? Would that be the idea?
The idea here is, yeah, that's a good point. The idea here is to work with our partners. So I know in the past, the sheriffs have done a lot of work with the RCMP, or not the RCMP, Calgary, and the RCMP with the interdiction teams and those things. So I think the idea here is that we'll be able to supplement some of the gaps that are existing right now in the province. We know that rural policing is struggling a little bit right now with some issues, whether they're real or not. I'll have to figure that out because everybody has what I've recognized is everybody has a sense of what they think is the truth. I need to get to the truth. So rural policing seems to be one big issue that's going on right now in policing, and how do you properly address those issues? It's a hard struggle. I know, and in talking to the RCMP, it's not an easy situation in trying to meet the needs of those. So what I'm trying to do is trying to figure out what's the best plan with technology, with good partnerships, using other. What I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna shake the tree a little bit here. I'm gonna look at things differently. I'm gonna try and do something that is not traditional, right from hiring right through to how we deploy. And it's a big challenge, but I think we could do it. So I'm here to help law enforcement at the beginning to find out where their gaps are, how we can help them. I've met with many Indigenous communities also that have asked for the same type of support. I have not reached out to one group. These groups have met with me, have called me to ask, what is the plan? Where are we going? And how's this going to look?
Pardon me? Dave. Oh, I'm sorry. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, Chief, I'm just trying to figure out how everything fits together here. And you say at the moment you are head of the 1,200 sheriffs, and then you're talking to all these other, I'll call them independent police services like Calgary and Lethbridge. I think there's 5 or 6 of those. So you also then said you're the police chief. So are there any employees in this new provincial policing other than you? And then I think I heard you didn't use the word collaborative, but like is the new policing, provincial policing model supposed to bring all of the existing police forces in the province sort of under one umbrella?
First of all, you've added one into that list of employees. There's not even one. I'm not an employee of the police service yet. I'm an employee of the province of Alberta. And in our timeline, we're looking at the spring to have the police service up and running with the first. There's some legislative requirements that need to be done in regards to starting the police service. One of them is having a police commission. You need to have a police commission to have a police service. So we've selected the police commission now, and then we have a timeline to get the first sworn officer in place. I am an employee where the police service will be a crown corporation within the province. So we will be our own entity with the police commission that reports to province. I do not report to the government. I report to a commission, just like Calgary would and just like Edmonton would. So it is separating me from the state and having undue influence from the province. So that's the first iteration of what has to happen, and that's going to happen in the next, I'm going to say 3 to 6 months. The second part of that question is, if you looked at a province like Ontario that has a provincial police service, there are many towns and cities that have their own police services, just like Lethbridge, and but there are also large cities like Toronto that exist. So there's no reason right now for us to look at anything other than what's kind of going to be at the table to begin with. So we're not looking to take over anything from Calgary or Edmonton or even the municipalities that have the RCMP. If the municipalities want to stay with the RCMP, great. That's excellent. I'll help the RCMP as much as I possibly can, trying to do the same thing these guys do every day and try and help your communities. So I'm not here to say we're going to take over or want to take over anything like that. That's a government decision. I'm here to look at what's the first thing that we want to try and accomplish. And I think a lot of it has to do with most of the things that are under the PPSA, which is the provincial policing contract, not the MPSA, which is the municipal contract, such as what you guys have or what Okotoks would have, or Airdrie or any of those larger mid to large size cities. So we're not really looking for any of that other than to get established, start to look at things that we can help support, and then build it from there and see where this goes. And but it starts with that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so, but now it's sort of asked a new one, and
Sure.
that is, you've kind of alluded to some things, but what is the provincial police service supposed to do then?
Like, what is it? What will the mandate be?
Well,
you're
I
asking?
mean, if you're, first of all, yeah, yes, and also on a more practical basis. Like you said that you're not going to take over any of the duties of, Calgary, Edmonton, Grand Prairie, or even the RCMP. So, is this an extra layer of policing? Where do the sheriffs fit in this? And so my question is, on the ground, and also, I suppose a mandate's not a bad question to ask. What is it that the provincial police service is actually going to be doing?
Well, there's two things that we know for sure. The first thing is that we know that the sheriffs right now are doing police-like duties. The officers out there are doing. We have scan teams. We have the FAST teams, which is the future apprehension teams. We have surveillance teams. We have these guys that are working highway patrol. They're doing police-like duties. They're not protected like police officers are. They're peace officers. And even having an association or a union that represents their needs aren't here. They still get represented by a provincial union. And I'm not putting down the union, but I think there's a value in having an association that looks at your needs. looks at your individual needs, and because they're really doing the same work as most police officers out there. So that's the first thing that they need to have. They need to be indemnified for the work that they do. They can't sit out there every day and not feel that they're not supported by the government that's giving them their authorities. The other part is we also know that there's lots of gaps that are existing right now. There's shortages when it comes to staffing. We know in talking to the RCMP, they're having some struggles with some areas. So we're going to help them. And so we can, but what we don't want to do is I don't want to create another layer of taxpayer requirements here that we're just paying for another police service. So we have to start looking at what the contracts are, where the budgets are going to come from. And if we're supporting communities, how does that look? What does that look like? These are the things we're going to be talking to the province with and our partners to find out if we're going to take these things off your plate, what does that mean? Because the last thing I want to do is, I mean, I am a taxpayer too, and I don't want to pay for extra services that don't mean anything. They have to be meaningful, and they have to make a difference in what we're doing. And I think there's an opportunity for us to do that. You want to say something? Yeah.
I'll just, this is Candace Schmidt. I'm the Issues and Project Advisor on the implementation team for the Alberta Sheriff's Police Service. And just to further comment on Chief Parhar's comments, the sheriffs have been a vital part of law enforcement for quite some time in our province, increasing their duties beyond their original scope of their original mandate. The ASPS will be designed to strengthen that local policing capacity and provide municipalities with an alternative. We will be focused as well on increasing demand and improving public safety in those rural and remote communities. And that will involve working with our law enforcement partners across the province, as Chief Parhar discussed. So I hope that answers and satisfies some of your questions.
You have a question, Jen?
Okay, thank you very much for coming out here today to speak to us. Now, we are aware, and you kind of mentioned it, that the sheriffs usually take care of the provincial, let's say, Traffic Safety Act, all of that. So what is that going to look like when they amalgamate with, let's say, or work with the cities like Calgary, Edmonton, RCMP? Because what we heard is the RCMP are going to deal with a lot of the federal crimes and then, or the more criminal code offenses, and then the sheriffs are going to take on, like, what would they do? Provincial mandates?
No, I think once you're designated a police officer, you can't really pick and choose what crime you're going to investigate. I mean, this is about collaboration. It's about working with our partners. So it's right now it doesn't feel right that, you know, sheriffs do part of it and then they call another jurisdiction in to finish it. It doesn't make sense from even a prosecutorial kind of perspective. It's handing off files when we don't need to. So I think there's an opportunity for us to give the RCMP or the Calgary Police Service some space to do their work while we fill a gap where they're not required. So I think there's I mean, there's a conversation about federal policing, provincial policing, and all these things. I think, as you know, Jen, the designation of police officer you can't put walls around that. You are a police officer by definition of the code, the criminal code, and you have duties and responsibilities. And these are the things that police officers and sheriffs and the policing, what we do, will be a two-tiered policing system for sure, just like Ontario is, where you have peace officers and police officers within the organization. So there'll be, and it's quite confusing, and I apologize because if you don't understand, if you haven't been in the policing world, it can be very confusing on understanding the complexities of all these things. But really, what it is going to be is a peace officer and a police officer program. So whether we work with a peace officer, works with a provincial police officer, or a RCMP officer, or a Calgary officer, we're about goals and objectives. So what's the objective of that day? And we go and get it.
And just to add on to that, thank you, that cleared that up. Now, are you going to have satellite offices? And I know this is like a very forward-thinking thing, because you know how Calgary has and Edmonton are located, and right now RCMP are located in the specific municipalities. Where will you be located? Like, what will your primary headquarters be? Or have you even thought, have you guys got to that point yet?
It's a good question, because if you looked at the sheriffs, there really isn't a headquarters, right? They have offices everywhere. The headquarters will be in Calgary. My office is in Calgary. That's the first piece. Our training section will probably be it is a forward question because I have a lot of ideas around what training could look like. I think that there's different parts of the province that could be a part of training. It doesn't all have to be in one central location. I think there's a way of looking at this in a different way. And instead of having one centralized location, I mean, I had the K Division Deputy Commissioner offer Regina to do our training, which is really kind of them, but just it's probably not going to happen. But we have to look at what does that look like throughout. So training, we know that Beaumont's offered to build a track for us, but we have to build a training center too. And then when it comes to the smaller detachments, I don't know. I don't know if what's working right now with having a detachments the way they are right now it makes as much sense. Maybe there's a different way to look at these things, more regionalized detachments. I don't know. These are things that we're going to bring community together with us. We're going to bring our law enforcement partners together with us. We're going to figure this stuff out and find out where we want to put our money.
And sorry, one final
Go
thing.
ahead.
And are you going to collaborate with, let's say, Quebec Provincial Police, OPP, Newfoundland Constabulary, just to see kind of how they are? Or are you going to want to rebuild your own?
Yeah, no, this collaboration is finding out, first of all, the RCMP also have 100+ years of tons of experience in this space. So they will be at the table talking about what does this look like and what does the transition look like, and then whatever stream we look at. But I'm out in Ontario visiting, the OPP commissioners invited us out. So that's in January for 3 days. We're going to look at all their infrastructure, what they're doing, how they're doing it. Quebec also has offered for us to come down, so we're probably doing that in February. We also are learning some stuff through the uncomfortable Surrey experience. If anybody in policing knows that, it wasn't done smoothly. And then also from Grand Prairie, we can learn from our own backyard on what that looks like. So I think we would be neglectful if we didn't learn from some of those other places. Okay.
Dan, go ahead. Dan? Dave? Go ahead.
I'm still
Gotta
trying to
turn your mic on.
Yeah, I did. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how everything fits together here, and I recognize that there's probably not a complete overall plan yet, but for me as a rural landowner, what would happen if somebody's breaking into my property and I call 911?
Mhm.
Then who's going to look after that call?
It would be the police of jurisdiction. So whoever has the jurisdiction of that area at the time is responsible for the response calls. So what that looks like as we move forward and what we as the provincial police service take over will change, and that's going to take some time. It's going to take this is the issue that I always face, is that I'm at these meetings so early in this conversation that it's really hard to kind of sit here and define an exact policy around exactly what that's going to look like. What I know is that nobody is going to be sitting feeling like they're not supported, no matter what we do. As we've always said in policing, it doesn't matter what color the stripe is on the side of your pants. A policing agency will be responsible for the area that needs to be policed. It's just the reality of law enforcement. We will never leave anybody hanging out there unsafe. So what does that look like in 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road here? The plan will be presented to everybody.
And just to further comment on Chief Parhar's comments, to answer your question, our organizational design will be designed to ensure that every Albertan, regardless of where you are, rural, wherever we're covering, regardless of that location, receives a timely police response when you're calling for somebody. So that will be a core sort of mandate as we build the organization, and we will connect with municipalities and see what that looks like, because we recognize that every area is unique. So we will work all those details out through implementation planning and organizational design.
And I always want to stress that this isn't a silver bullet. Like, this is not us coming in and saying we know how to do this, and this is not the reality. Is it's very complex. These are things that don't happen easy, and they require a lot of work. And I just know that we have the will to try and do something that's going to be better than what we're doing right now. And I think there's opportunities, but it won't be easy.
Paul?
Thanks. So just one question on the, I guess, the logistics of it. As I understand, or I guess as I'm trying to understand, so would each, you refer to the police of jurisdiction. So would that mean, for example, say the town of Okotoks decides it wants to go with the RCMP? That would be the police of jurisdiction.
Yep.
In Okotoks. If the county of Foothills says, no, we want to go with this new provincial policing, so then that would change, and that would be the police force of jurisdiction for the county, for
Yeah.
example? Is that the way it would work?
I don't want to speak for the government because I'm not here as the government of like I'm not a politician. So
I understand, yeah.
the difference between the MD of Foothills and what Okotoks would be, it depends on what contract they sit in. These guys probably know which contract so it depends on where they sit in the provincial policing contract or the municipal policing contract. And I think it's provincial policing contract that they would sit in. So that's, whoever the MD of Foothills or whatever that, I think the province is going to probably decide at some point what they want to kind of look at first. And I'm going to suggest nobody's interested in policing Okotoks if Okotoks wants to stay with the RCMP or High River, right?
So it's a government decision as opposed to a local decision, is that?
Well, government with the communities. I think up until the contracts are the way they are until 2032. So up until then, you can just do whatever you like.
Okay, I guess I'm still wondering whose final decision is it? Is it, again, using that example, just as an example, would it be the county of Foothills who says, we want this, one or the other?
Yeah.
And would it be the same thing in various counties and municipalities? They locally make that decision?
They make that decision.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Suzanne?
Thank you for your presentation so far, just helping us to kind of understand how you fit in. I did hear a couple of comments in relation to the rural policing aspect. One was that it was one of the focal points, timely responses, integration, and sort of complementing services. So just wondering how that's going to fit into your planning. Is it what you would call a topic for resolution? How is that topic in particular going to be addressed as you move forward?
The rural policing issue?
Yes.
I think there's, community has to be involved. So we have to talk to if you're not consulting with the people that are actually owning, who live out in the rural communities. And I'm not saying it's not happening now. So I don't know what's happening right now because I'm not in that space. I would suggest, first of all, I know good collaboration is the only way to start these things. So if you don't bring everybody to the table to find out what does this look like, how can we do this better? What are the ways we can kind of have quicker response times? I think from a policing perspective, there's other ways to do this around technology. There's other ways to do this around how we staff, our deployment models could be look a little bit different. We can look at different ways to use community to help support us in regards to other agency support. Because I think most of these things in policing, in my history, it's very rarely a inter-minister, like ministries all have to kind of work together on these things. It's not just a policing issue, right? It's more than just justice. So where are other partners in this conversation? Because we all have relationships out there, and we all have ideas on what a good program could look like for communities. So I think we have to start with that, and then we'll start looking at what does that deployment look like to make sure that everybody's getting the response times that they need. But I say it's not easy when you're living out in the middle of nowhere and you're getting broken into. It's a very hard thing to manage, to have resources out there quickly. So like I don't blame anything that's happened today. These are things that have happened, but we can learn from some of these things.
Thank you. If I may, one follow-up is there's quite a resource in the rural crime watches. And we have a partnership with our current detachments. That's how they're established, and they're established on the provincial organization for the rural crime watches. So that organization and all the little sub-organizations are willing and able to try to get information out to the citizens, as well as gathering information to be kind of a two-way receiver and sender of information. So those exist, and they're connected, and alive and well. So that is a resource. It's a little struggling resource in terms of finances, but it's one that if it was supported perhaps a little bit more. I brought this up at numerous different opportunities to speak about it, but a very, very small sustaining amount of money to a Rural Crime Watch would go a long ways. And I mean, I'm talking $1,000 a year is all that would really be needed. But we do fundraise. We've kept the one that I'm part of. We've kept it very simple to have a situation where we don't have to renew the membership so that we make it free and really easily available. So that requires a little bit of funding, but just a reminder that there's some really great relationships with that. And there's a renewed handshake with the RCMP that happened a couple of years ago, and just to reestablish some of the criteria, and that ongoing relationship is working really well. So that's something that's out there and doesn't need to be reinvented, perhaps can be built upon. And again, it sounds like you're really looking at what's out there, filling gaps, complementing, collaboration, all the things you've been mentioning. So just a thought on that. Thank you so much for your presentation today.
Well, thank you for that. And if I could just add, what I would say is that the province is very committed to making this successful. So Rural Crime Watch, I'm a municipal police officer. I'm a big city police officer. So I will look at people and ideas and thoughts that have already at the table. But I think there's a way to enhance these things. And I think there's a big commitment from this province to make sure that all those resources are in play and that we have access to them. And but it's like, as I keep on saying, it's not easy. It's staffing is in policing right now is a big issue. We're dealing with mental health crisis not only on the street, but we're also dealing with mental health issues that are happening right in policing agencies. So we're trying to manage all these things from a deployment model that try and meet the needs of communities, but it does come with some challenges. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that people are trying really hard today to try and meet those needs. It's just really hard right now. Thank you for that.
Okay, nothing further at this point then?
If I could just make one final comment.
Sure, please do.
My last comment would be that, first of all, I wish I didn't realize, Jen, that this is going to be this type of a room. I thought this is the 40 or 50 I've gone to up till now is a boardroom. You sit in a boardroom and you kind of, so I appreciate the formality of this, that you guys are taking this seriously and you're taking your law enforcement priorities it's meaningful that this is what you're doing. So I would say, thanks, first of all, for doing this. Secondly, whatever you guys want, if you want to have another conversation, if you guys want to talk about anything that's going on, please reach out. I'm accessible. My team will always be accessible once we have the team. But I know that that's what we're after here, is to make sure that we're actually really conversing well with our communities. Community policing will be the pillar that I stand on this. It will be the pillar. It has to involve community. If it doesn't involve community, then it's a non-starter. And that's just the way it is. So thanks again for letting me come here.
Just have one question here from Dave yet. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it here. I'm wondering, given that things are in the formation phase, I wonder if we shouldn't schedule another meeting for you to come talk to us. I don't know, 6 months or something like that. And at that time, we can see kind of how things are progressing up to that point, what's been done and where you're headed. Because, right now what I'm hearing is there's, lots of collaboration. We're trying to put things together. And I wonder, I don't know what everybody else on the policing committee thinks, but I think it would be very worthwhile, because this is a fairly momentous change for me anyway, to have periodic updates on what's happening with the provincial policing, whatever it's called, provincial police.
First of all, I'm happy to do that as many times as you want. I think it's been asked of me by the RMA, for example, has asked for this. So I said I'd go monthly. So these are groups that are really serious about wanting to understand what's going on here. So I appreciate the fact if it doesn't have to be 6 months, it could be 3 months. I'll update you as much as I can. I'll have some more formality around. There are a lot of things that have been done to date. I don't want to lose sight of that. We are our own crown corporation. We are set up. We'll have our own police commission right away here. So there's lots of that has been done, and I'll probably have a better ability to show you the actual things of some outcomes we've already had versus what's coming. Sorry, I got in the way of your guys' thing there. So,
And
yeah.
Dave, just to, for you and your municipalities to think about would be when we engage and as we are ongoing and continuing with engagement is, what do you guys need from your police service? What challenges are unique to your communities? And how can we help to support those local priorities? So if you could, even that input will be very helpful to us as well. So if you can sort of think of some of those things and engage on your level and bring some of those things back as we continue engagement, that's going to be helpful as we continue down the road of implementation planning.
Suzanne?
Thank you. And perhaps we should have done this at first, but perhaps we should introduce ourselves as well. We're the Foothills County Rural Policing, the Rural Foothills County Policing Committee. And we're very happy to form and have this very much improved discussion level and communication level with all the different agencies that are serving Foothills County and just getting to know each other and sharing the information further with council and citizens. So this is definitely a very important committee to our council and our community, Foothills County. And if you don't mind, well, perhaps Ted, do you want to start by introducing yourself and maybe go around the table and we could introduce ourselves to all present?
Sure. Ted Mills. I presently chair, stumble through this job, but I am a rural resident. I'm up east of Alderside, and from my standpoint, I'm glad to hear that you live out of town and that you are in our county and that you do recognize some of the issues that do happen as rural members. And I look forward to hopefully, and I'm sure Paul will be happy to have you as a member of the Okotoks Crime Watch. That would be interesting that you might learn things from them. And so I would sure encourage you to, at some point, to meet with them guys. They're great. So that's who I am. Thank you. Jen?
Jen Magnus, I'm a community member, and like Ted, I also live in a rural area out here. So it's nice to hear that that's a priority for you, because we do deal with a lot of criminal activity and just wondering how we can support and protect our properties, because there is so much stuff going on in the news about what we can and cannot do. So we do appreciate that.
Marty?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Division 7 councillor, so that runs from Okotoks to the municipal boundary between Foothills and Vulcan. So I kind of have the great gap in there. The next best representative for Division 7, except for the previous, Mr. Mills. So we're kind of in the same neighborhood, but so very diverse, runs right from the east boundary up to the town of Okotoks, so very diverse. And it's the land of freedom most of the time. Occasionally we see the odd cruiser heading east in a hurry, but not very often. Thanks.
Thank you. Paul?
So my name's Paul Aris. I too am a rural resident, west of, about as far west from High River as you can get. 36 years with the RCMP, and I'm on the board of directors for the Okotoks Area Rural Crime Watch. Not sure what else I can say to that other than if you're interested in joining Okotoks Area Rural Crime Watch, I'm your guy. Thanks.
Suzanne, not the least.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm a Division 4 counselor with Foothills County, and I've been doing this job for quite a while as well. And just happily involved in all of the policing matters. It's been really important to our community, and also currently the president for the High Country Rural Crime Watch Association, which is a volunteer hat. So just taking that on and just really seeing amazing efforts of our community. We have another gentleman who will speak right away too about that, but we have over 800, around 800 members to our Crime Watch. So when we send out an email or we post something, we get a lot of uptake. So just to mention that. And mention also, Ted is also in a Crime Watch called the Foothills Crime Watch, which is the 3 detachment response areas for Foothills County are encompassed with the 3 and wanted to integrate that right into this policing committee. Glad to be here. Thanks. And over to Dave online.
David.
Yeah, my name is Dave Schroeder. I live in the very northwest corner of the province, or not the province, the county part, pardon me. And I consider myself between Prentice and Bright Creek. I'm vice president of the High Country Rural Crime Watch Association. Have been involved with High Country Rural Crime Watch for, I don't know what it is now, 6, 7 years or something like that. And one of the other duties I have is to write a monthly article in I'll call it a newspaper out of Bright Creek called High Country News, but its circulation goes from Springbank, Redwood Meadows, Prentice, Diamond Valley, all the way down to Longview. It doesn't go into the municipalities like Okotoks or High River proper, but it does hit the rural areas around it.
That it, Dave?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Chief Behar. And we look forward to having future conversations and it'll be great. Thank you. So at this point, then I would ask Staff Sergeant Mike Zink to come forward and give us an update on what's happening in the Okotoks area.
Good day, everybody. Thank you for having me. I apologize in advance. I'm under the weather a little bit, fighting a cold that time of year. So if my voice starts to go or if I just fall over, I've had too much Advil today. But thank you for bearing with me.
I think your voice is better probably than this mics are. It just echoes in here, Mike. It's hard for us, or at least for me anyway, with hearing aids
I'm
to hear.
I'm not quite at the hearing aid stage yet, but sitting back there, I'm asked my colleague Greg if maybe I should be wearing them. So I'm getting there. It's not one to get old, but I appreciate that. And before I start, as part of my public safety message, I hope everybody has winter tires on after the number of collisions we attended to in the Okotoks County area yesterday, as I'm sure my colleagues as well. I hope everybody's ready for winter because it's here.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but your microphone's not quite on, so Dave won't be able to hear you online there. So it has to turn red. The little top part has to turn red. So I don't know. I think Peter had tapped it before and it worked. It
is red.
It is. Okay. So just the top part doesn't have the light on it.
I can hear him fine.
There we go.
Okay, good. It's just the red light maybe is the issue. So thank you for your patience.
Just another point to note, following up on Ted's comment about hearing aids, I wear them too. And one thing for me is the Zoom call, I can hear everything. When I'm present in that room, it's much more difficult. I don't know where the sound goes, but it doesn't go to my hearing aids. So for me, the Zoom, I can hear a lot better. And I can hear Staff Sergeant Zink right now very well.
Good. Thanks, Dave.
I think somebody's lobbying for that work to home from home policy.
No,
Okay,
I kind of like being there, but
back to
today,
business. Sorry about that, guys. Back on track here. So thank you for having me. Our quarter two report is obviously what I'm here to report today, although it's a little late. I appreciate that. It has been a very busy and challenging Q2 for us in Okotoks, both on the from the detachment as a whole in terms of resourcing. That seems to be the flavor or the popular topic at the moment. So that was an incredibly challenging summer for us in Okotoks, largely attributed to a number of factors. That being at the beginning of at the end of quarter one, the beginning of quarter two with the G7 deployments. We obviously supported. Augmented the response from some of our members as well. Early on, we had the wildfire deployments that we redeployed some members to, and coupled with some of our soft vacancies. And then kind of the biggest piece was our hard vacancies. We had a significant number, 5 to 6 members that were outgoing throughout the summer that we did not have any replacements for, which was incredibly frustrating as the commander and challenging at the same time. But we were able to work very closely with our district managers and our human resourcing or staffing personnel up in Edmonton. I'm very pleased to report that we were able to get all those bodies back in terms of replacements. So the members that went out, we were able to get replacements that came back. So as a whole, our ability to respond really wasn't impacted, or I should say the residents, both within the municipality and the county, should not have seen a difference, but it definitely put a significant strain on our members in terms of wellness and file load, and really probably impacted more so our initiatives. So our annual performance plan, or APP initiatives with traffic safety, crime reduction, and community engagement. That's where we saw a significant decline in our ability to meet those desired objectives and goals. But again, circling back, I'm very pleased to report that we were able to fill those vacancies, and we have a number of our members who have been off duty for a significant time are slowly coming back to work, which is very good for us as a whole. And as we stand with our 8 provincial positions, we only have 1 vacancy, and we have somebody coming in to fill that. So we're in a really good position currently today from a human resource standpoint, staffing standpoint. So I do anticipate in terms of our APP initiatives, while our numbers are just a little down in terms of our goals and targets, I'm confident that they are going to rebound and will be very much in a better position for the end of Q3, which is fast approaching. So we have partnered with, in terms of thinking strategically, with our reservist program, which, as some of you may be aware, is a program where we have retired members typically, or experienced police officers that join as a reservist, kind of like the old auxiliary program, except they're actually paid and carry firearms, and we're able to call upon them for specific deployments. And we've been very strategic in leveraging that program, which has been helping as of late to really support not just the front line, but our APP initiatives and targeted goals. So very pleased on that. With respect to our our PSCs, our public servants, we still have 2, and they've been in those positions for some time now. So no concerns from resource levels there. On our municipal support side, so our detachment support service side, we are down a couple of positions there. So the ladies that work the front counter or are the watch clerks. But the municipality of Okotoks has been very diligent in their hiring practices, and we're currently onboarding some new employees from that regard too. So as a whole, our Okotoks detachment, both on the provincial and municipal side, we're actually in really good shape, and I'm excited to see what the future brings. In terms of calls for service during Q2, we saw approximately 736 calls for service, of which other moving traffic was our significant top file type with about 119. And that is something that is amplified within our municipality, so within the town limits. As such, my municipal enforcement team lead and I have been seeking ways to really assist with simply put collision reporting. And we visited some other detachments such as Airdrie and Cochrane who have started a new collision reporting program by partnering with a private agency. And so that's something that we are not quite landed on yet, but we are probably 3/4 of the way through our investigative stage of that process. So I'll be excited to report on that perhaps next quarter, but that very much well could be a strategy where it will relieve a lot of the pressures from our support staff. So and getting those numbers. The count will still be there. We'll still have police files, but in terms of workload management, it definitely will again help streamline with efficiency and modernization. One of the file types that I noted for our Okotoks provincial area, which was not significantly alarming, was our Mental Health Act call. So at 26. Within the municipality, it was a very alarming rate. We were up at about 500%. And I think when I look at the percentages on the crime stats, we're much below that, which is good for the county, which is, I think, quite normal or typical with mental health type related calls under the Mental Health Act. The towns, the municipalities, the cities typically have a higher caseload in that crime type category versus the provincial area. But on that note, like my colleagues, we've leveraged our relationship with our RPAC community or crisis outreach members who really specialized in crisis and post-crisis intervention and management. They're based out of Cochrane. But I can assure you they probably spend 85 to 95% of their time at Okotoks detachment, unfortunately, because we have a high caseload. So we're really working closely with them. And actually on that note, we did have one of our RPAC members attend our recent Royal Crime Watch AGM, where he presented to the group, which was very well received on that note. Just a quick high-level snapshot of our provincial detachment crime stats. Nothing came to me as alarming, which is really good. We're looking at 14% decrease in total persons crime with a decrease of 12% in property crime. We did have a 50% increase of other criminal code. But for us going into the winter months, I've always found, having been the commander now for somewhere between 1.5 and 2 years, I do see an increase for whatever reason during the winter months with break and enters, obviously theft of motor vehicles because people are leaving their vehicles running. Again, more so in town versus out, but it's still not possible. So we're very much attuned to that. And we have some strategies that are coming up or programs to help combat some of those potential crimes from increasing. Just to circle back super quick, our community action team, which has a corporal and 2 constables, was kind of disbanded throughout the Q2 or summer months to support the watches. I just didn't want to, in terms of redeploying, I just didn't want to sacrifice or compromise our ability to respond to day-to-day calls for service. So that's why we had to do that. And now that we have our staffing resources back up to speed, I'll be redeploying those members back to their substantive positions, where there will be a very intense focus on that crime reduction piece. Of course, it's part of our APP, so I really want to see those numbers up. I am excited to report, though, that we did have 2 habitual offenders within our detachment area that we were able to assist in relocating to another detachment area. So they no longer live within Okotoks. So that's good for us because they did cause a significant amount of calls for our detachment. So. That is what I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Jen, go ahead.
Thank you for that. Staff, I just had a question. Can you elaborate a bit on that private agency you're talking about? What function are they specifically going to have? Is it to help the police or to help admin staff? I kind of didn't understand that.
That's a great question. Thank you. Still learning more myself. We have a meeting scheduled with the actual company. The function of that particular company is that when there is a collision, and we have to set the parameters on what we will allow them to record and manage versus strictly having the RCMP. So the RCMP will still likely go to a collision, especially if there's injuries or if it's criminal in nature. But the accidents that are either single vehicle accidents where nobody's injured, or the damage, estimated damage is below the desired reporting amount, or if it's a dare strike, then they have the client or the driver will have the ability to report online. So how that could look is that a police officer would attend the scene, ensure, of course, public safety is not compromised, right? When dealing with traffic control and if there are down power lines, that sort of thing. So in the instance where the officer can, a QR code will be provided to the driver or the subjects, who then can go online to start the reporting process. There will also be an ability, and in the detachments that are currently utilizing this program, the drivers go back to the detachment, and not always is it the detachment. Sometimes these reporting centers are actually within outside of detachment buildings, and they're actually in municipality buildings. That's yet to be determined, but we're looking and investigating that. And then they actually have non-RCMP employees. So the private company have employees, their own employees, that literally walk the drivers or clients through the reporting process. And we visited the two detachments, and it's literally, not that I spend a lot of time at McDonald's, but it's like you going to McDonald's and you can place your order in front of the large kiosk, and that's how they report their collision, and they provide their statement. That an RCMP file will still be generated, but what this is streamlining is the regular member, the police officer, from going to the scene and actually having to collect all that information at scene, which is not always convenient and very time consuming, but as well, our office staff, so our DSA, so our support staff are at the front counter collecting it. Sometimes there are many collisions. Yesterday, we had quite a number of them. So if you can just imagine a lineup of people outside trying to report these things, and we don't have the ability to increase the amount of support staff at the front counters. So therefore you can see the backlog. So again, it is a fairly new program that a few detachments in the north, I know specifically in the south, Cochrane and Airdrie have started, and those are the commanders and detachments that I've engaged. And thus far, it's been nothing but positive results. So, and there's allegedly no cost to the organization and to the communities. It's all driven by or absorbed by the particular companies themselves. So I'm still learning, but that's about what I have to offer today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff Sergeant, if I could, you mentioned that your municipal enforcement went with you. Was that Okotoks Municipal Enforcement, or was that a member of your team?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
You mentioned that the municipal enforcement went with you. Was that Okotoks Municipal Enforcement, or was that a member of your team?
Sorry, that was the municipal enforcement. Yeah, our municipal the town of Okotoks municipal employee. We have there are 8 of them, and there's one team lead within that group. So that's the individual that accompanied me.
If I could follow up. Go ahead. So if you could elaborate with this private company and with them being involved, what is municipal enforcement's role in non-injury MBC investigations as it relates to this company and what you have going on?
That's a good question. Thank you. So the reason I engaged municipal enforcement is that the the inspector of the municipal enforcement, Okotoks Municipal Enforcement Team is actually the manager of the municipal employees. So the DSAs within the detachment that are not PSEs. So we collaborate on a number of issues that have to deal with the support staff team at the front counter.
So just to clarify, the peace officers are not involved in an accident investigation. This is because of the
So,
admin
no,
staff
you're
at the
not.
front counter.
No.
You okay? Okay. Anything further? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do notice that I think your calls are up slightly in this last quarter versus the one previous. Is that correct?
That's a good observation. Yes, they are. I don't actually have last quarter's calls for service, but having just come out of Q2 and reviewing the calls every day, they definitely were increased for sure. Yeah. And it made it challenging as well because we had fewer officers to investigate and manage each of those files. So the caseload is increased as well. It's definitely a different feeling at the detachment right now because our resources are up. The calls are still coming in, but they're managed a little bit more accepting now.
Good.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
makes your life a little better. Good. Thank you very much. And if I could ask Staff Sergeant Weeb to come forward.
Morning. How's
Morning.
everybody? So I'll start out with our staffing, not quite as rosy as Okotoks is right now. We're in a transition period. We had a lot of members that were transferred out to specialty units over the past 6-8 months. And usually when they're going into Calgary to a unit, it's a 30-day posting. So I can try and keep them for a little bit longer if I can, but it's not a standard transfer, which is usually a 90-day transfer notice. So you have 90 days to sell your house and whatnot. With our recent transfers, they're staying in the house they're living in, and they're just starting work at a new location. So it's very quick transitions. On the PPSA side, as of the end of the month there, Constable Harper is going to be resigning, or he's going to retire here at the end of the month. So he'll be our second PPSA position down. So we're going to be at 50% on the provincial side of the house. We're also short some bodies on the municipal side of the house right now. So we're working with district and staffing regularly. What we're finding is a cascading issue. I have a vacancy. I have a body named for that vacancy, but the detachment who has that body can't give that body up because they're waiting for a body, and they're waiting for a body, and they're waiting for a body. So it's a waiting game for detachments to be able to release their person to come to our office. So it's we have bodies named for every spot. So it's not all doom and gloom. I'm just waiting. There's a difference between a body at 1272, which is transfer notice or transfer planning. So I have transfer planning for each one of my vacancies. I have a staffing action for one of my vacancies. And a staffing action is when staffing comes out and says, you are moving, here's your document. The other one is just planning. 95% of the time when you get a planning notice, you are going to be transferred into that spot. So we're pretty confident that our spots are all going to be backfilled, and hopefully sooner than later. It's just a matter of releasability from where they are right now. And then obviously with the RCMP, we deal with the sale of a house. So if you're in a down market, if we get a transfer notice today, selling your house in January, I've done it. It's not ideal. So, but it can be done. Usually the summer is a nice time to sell your houses. So we're working with staffing and it's not all doom and gloom. We're relying probably more so on the post model now than we have in a while, just due to our numbers. But we're not seeing a diminishing in any kind of service delivery. And we're still acting at a capacity which is better than a lot of detachments in Southern Alberta right now. So I would say, although our resources are down, it's not affecting our day-to-day. So we also, with regards to staffing, we actually trained Nat and Cadet for 2 months, his initial 2 months in High River. We've done that in the past. It allows the cadet to get a little more call volume, a little more activity for that time period until they're kind of put out on their own. So they have to ride with an instructor or a trainer for 2 months. At that point, they can be cut loose. So when he hit his 2 months period, he went down to net, and now he's working down in net and going through his RFT. Our annual performance plan, I'll speak to. We assisted SAD crew with a search warrant on a rural property. SAD crew has been very busy lately with a couple of our prolific offenders. This one was a prolific offender. They tied some investigational property to a string of break-and-enters, etc., from that property. I don't believe we have yet put this individual into custody. He wasn't at the location at the time. I know they're actively looking for this individual. And we're working on a property continuing. It's kind of a town/rural property, kind of sits right on the border. So we've been working on that property now for a couple months in cooperation with our local peace officers here in High River, Alberta Health, safety code violation people, fire department. We've seen a few criminal code charges out of that property as a result of the work we're putting into it. And we're also trying to do a little bit of work to bring the property back up to snuff, so to speak. So annual performance plan for tickets, we're well above where our goals are. We'll likely have exceeded our goals by the end of Q3 here. So lots of warnings, lots of tickets. The crew's out lighting up their vehicles out and about. So visibility has, I think, been enhanced or increased. So that's a good thing. So we had 300, so I took our stats from our last meeting. So from September till now, we had 361 pros occurrences, 30 collisions, 11 injury. We haven't had a fatal. On a side note, I get the situation reports from the province with regards to like the traffic safety. We're really a blessed area in the fact that the number of fatals in our area is very low, and the province has a lot of fatals. So it's kudos to everyone being out on the highway. Our sheriff counterparts for being busy on the highway. I think it makes a difference. We had 5 impaired investigations over this last period. Some thefts, about 13. We're kind of, I didn't see a spike in our numbers from our last meeting. They're kind of consistent from what I'd had in the past. So things are kind of plugging along as normal. We had 3 theft of motor vehicles, which is a little lower. Some possession of stolen property. One of our ones that went way down was mischief. We only recorded 2 mischief files in the last few months, which is nice. The usual abandoned vehicles, suspicious persons, animal calls. And then we only had 2 break-and-enters, which is again a nice thing for us. So that kind of the crux of what we're doing. Coming up for us in the spring, the RCMP has a leave restriction, so nobody's taking leave for us from June through July for FIFA right now, which is the World Cup. So we'll all be working because we won't be taking vacation. And on the planning side of the house, and it'll probably more to deal with you there, Peter, is us 3 commanders are going to get together and would like to plan a town hall for Foothills County. So we usually do 1 or more in High River, and they'll do them locally in Diamond Valley. But what we'd like to do is have 1 for Foothills County this year. So likely January, February, so we can incorporate the results of that town hall into our annual performance planning. And the second thing, we'd like to start looking at getting the survey ready to go out, and we'd like to see that probably go out in January as well, just so we have that data as well to inform our annual performance planning. I brought Corporal Tom Nairn here. He likes to come and hang out at meetings. He runs the annual performance plan for the rural area. So he runs the provincial annual performance plan for us at the detachment. So he's the one that makes sure we're out there in stopping vehicles and being visible and working on the properties and trying to address prolific offenders. So if you have any questions for Tom, this would be a great time for that. And that's all I have. So
Thanks, Greg. Questions to Tom? Sure, please do.
Thank you for coming to our meeting. Are you seeing an uptake in issues in the rural area? I know staff, we've said that it's kind of stagnant and there's specific areas, but are you seeing a lot of crime being displaced from Calgary and the major cities to the rural area? Because I know that was a problem before.
Currently, it's pretty good. Our problem was over harvest season with everyone obviously parking machinery in their fields. We had a lot of thefts of fuel. But night shifts, we amped up patrols in the rural area and saw a pretty steady decline in those crimes, thankfully. And a few offenders were caught in the act as well. But since then, I'd like to say it's been pretty good from what I've seen from my watch. So if you guys have any other perspective, let me know.
Well, and are you also doing because I know Staff Weeb said that they were having officers come out and engage with rural community members. Is that still ongoing, or is that more of a when it's nice out, or is it? Because I know that
No,
is it all year round, or is it just during certain times?
It's a year-round initiative, so the members are welcome to stop in at rural farms and make themselves known, give them their business card, things like that. Okay. So, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So do you deliberately cruise around our rural area more now than we were? Or visibility is a great thing from our standpoint as rurals, is to even if we don't talk to you or anything else, at least seeing you on the road is a deterrent.
For sure. I can't speak to, because my day job is one of the watch commanders for the detachment. So I'm in charge of a specific watch. My watch gets out pretty regularly in the rural area. And I know myself included, I get bored pretty easily. So I'll go out into the rural and see what I can find. I don't know if Greg, if you can speak to the other watches, but I think all in all, the detachment's fairly proactive in that regard.
Good.
yeah, certainly always a priority for us to be in town and in the rural area visible. And I'm always a big proponent of nothing better than, it's nice to see us. It's great to talk to us. And we get more bang for our buck when we stop and talk to a person at a rural acreage or farm. A lot of times we're going to find out about things that are happening that may or may not have been reported just based on the fact that it doesn't seem important. It's kind of small, but little small things all add up when we put them together. So yeah, being out and meeting the residents is key for us to do our job and do it well. So
Yeah, and go ahead, Jen.
Sorry. Out of the crimes that you did run into during the harvest, were any crimes in progress? Did you catch the people stealing the fuel or tampering with the machinery, or was it more after the fact?
I'd say generally most of the time it was after the fact we were coming in contact with those people. I don't have the numbers specifically, but there was a few occurrences where we caught people in the act, but most of the time it was afterwards. So pretty much our big thing was just deterring it in general with the patrols.
And as a farmer, we totally appreciate that, because that is one of the time of the years that we have all of our equipment out and it's in random fields. So yes, thank you for that.
You betcha.
Dave?
Yeah, this question is for Staff Sergeant Weave, but also the other two staff sergeants. Do you have an estimate of how much time you spend on traffic issues? And what I'm trying to get a handle on here is, you know, you always give us stats on you know, collisions, tickets and stuff like that, but each RCMP's detachment, how much time do you estimate is spent on traffic issues? Like, just for example, is it, and I don't expect to have a specific number, but is it like 30%, 50%? You know, can you give me some kind of an idea on that?
I can do it for Okotoks because I just got handed this piece of paper. Top files by workload, so other moving traffic and MBC's property damage accounts for about 17% of the workload at the detachment. And I would argue that on every survey, any town hall we've had, traffic always comes up as one of our priority issues in our community and within the rural area. Speeding vehicles. I know Staff Sergeant Reset has probably put a mountain of time into 762 just with the speeding bikes and whatnot out there in the summer. So yeah, traffic is always a large priority. And I think it's primarily, it's something that we all encounter every day. So when you're sitting on your front step and a car goes flying by, you note that, or when you're driving and someone's comes flying by you on the highway. So we experience traffic probably more than anything else as citizens of wherever we live. So it's always going to be a priority.
That answer your question, Dave?
I'm just thinking about it. You said 17%, but is that by, I don't know what you call it, caseload or files opened, or is it the issue I'm trying to get at is the actual amount of time that you spend on it?
Yeah, I don't think I can quantify that right now. I'd have to do some digging to try and figure out what would be our actual time we put into it. I know that on a rural patrol, if you're out doing that, you're doing traffic enforcement because you're usually running late or your radar as you're going from place to place. So you're doing traffic enforcement, whether it's sitting in a playground zone or a school zone, that's usually not captured for our time. And then just out in generally patrolling, we're always looking for a traffic violation, but again, that's not necessarily captured as just doing traffic enforcement or a traffic services. I'd have to do some digging into that one. That's a pretty hard stat to capture, I think. Any thoughts on that, Tom?
3 hours should be on average.
Speak up.
From what I've seen, it's about 1 to 3 hours is spent a shift on traffic enforcement per member. And that dictates, I mean, if they have a bunch of criminal code files to follow up on, obviously that takes precedent, right? With sex assaults, things of that nature. But generally, that's what I see on my watch is 1 to 3 hours for traffic enforcement.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing further, thank you very much. Great. And I'd now ask Staff Sergeant Reset to come forward.
Morning, your chair. Thank you very much for letting me come and speak today. I'm just going to get to the nitty gritty. I'm not going to spend much time on our resources and stuff like that. We're in the same boat as everyone else. We currently have 8 PPSA positions. One is a GRW. He had a shoulder surgery, so he's just gradually returned back to work, and hopefully he'll be back, hopefully within several months. As a surgery, it could take quite a bit of time to heal up. We have two public service employees, one which is a supervisor. We have a new hire in process. They're going through the security clearance as we speak. I don't see or anticipate any concerns with that new hire. Our total call volume for the Foothills County in 2025 was 367 in the MD, and compared to last year, we had 407. So our call volume has gone down a little bit. Regarding tickets, we've increased our tickets from this year to 93 tickets as compared to 71 last year. Our impaired drivers have gone down. We had 13 impaired drivers for this quarter as compared to 20 last year. We've done stepped our check stops and our school zones patrol and our traffic operational plan significantly this year. We've partnered with our Foothills MD peace officers. I look forward to also partnering with our sheriffs and our other MD law enforcement officials, as well as Fish and Wildlife in the MD. Our traffic offenses, we had 110 this past year as compared to 97. We've attended two community events this past summer, mostly regarding Canada Day presentations and ceremonies, one at Bayou Ranch and one at the Millerville racetrack, which we are always invited and well receptive at both communities. We had 61 person crimes, which include domestic violence, assaults, and sexual assaults, as compared to 70 last year. Property crime has stayed relatively low, 81 this year, as compared to 133 last year. And I applaud our crime reduction unit out of Calgary that assist us, as well as they also hit Okotoks and High River. So we have all these prolific offenders that like to target our areas, and we're well rehearsed on who they are. And it is going out to look for them, finding them, putting them before the courts, sentencing them, and then it's just a matter of time before they get released again, and then they're back out in the communities. But we have a very, very good connection and a grasp on who they are, and they're apprehended fairly soon after they're released from custody. Our mental health has increased just a little bit, not overly, not as greater as High River or Okotoks, but we also use our RPAT team to come and assist us with those people that are in crisis. That's all I have, unless there's any comments or questions. I kept it quick, sweet, short.
Go ahead, Jen.
I have a lot of questions this time, I guess. Are you going to be setting up check stops for the holiday? And I'm assuming, is that like a regular thing that you do every year?
We're partnering with our bylaw officers out of the MD. We're also going to partner with the sheriffs. They've sent me an email, and we're going to tackle that head on this year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Suzanne?
Great. Thanks again for your update. Also, we appreciated your message regarding the paving scam. So we sent that out through Facebook and through the usual email, as I mentioned, to almost 800 members. And just getting that out there was a good reminder, whether it was this group or another group. It just brings that top of the mind, which is always really good. And also to all of you for working on the Mountie Moments, for getting those out there. It's much appreciated. Those messages are helpful, repeating as necessary, because it just, again, brings back a moment to just reflect on something that might be happening that may have gone out of the mind, and this brings it back into the mind. So thanks for that. And of course, 762 Highway 762 is mentioned. Of course, we have a very popular touring route, as always full of interesting activities out there. And thank you for your attention on that.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Hey? Oh, my apology, Dave. I keep forgetting to look at you.
Yeah, Don, you mentioned the break and enters. Do you have an idea, a general idea of what uh, people are stealing? And the reason I asked the question is, if it's vehicles or I don't know if that falls into the B&E category or whatever, but we can alert members to be more vigilant about certain things, is it equipment, tools, whatever. Do you have any idea generally what people are taking, or is it anything and everything?
It's basically anything and everything, any quick items that they can possibly get off their hands very quickly, whether that's tools, whether that's electronics, um, any money that's kept in the residence or in vehicles. That's what they're targeting. I guess I'm blessed to be in Diamond Valley and in that rural area. Uh, it's a very beautiful site, and we don't get that much crime. We're moving into our third quarter here, which is going to be a very, very quiet time. Winters are very quiet for us. Summers are busy because of our tourism and the collisions that take place on our highways. So that's what I have for you, Dave. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected it to be. So,
Also, Dave, I'm very in touch with Suzanne and the Crime Watch group, and anything that I receive, I try my best to get out to Suzanne immediately to fan it out to our rural people out in our community.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Dave. Okay. We'll now move on to our sheriff members that are with us today to give us a presentation on what's happening in your world.
Thank you. I think I've spoken with pretty much everyone here before. Jason Delaney, I'm the inspector for the Sheriff Highway Patrol for the Calgary area. I look after our High River office and our patrol area, Cochrane, Bow Valley, and out to the east by Drum Heller, Morin, those areas, Stratford. So a couple of things. So first of all, really glad that Chief Parker showed up, so I didn't have to field any of those questions, because I wasn't ready for any of that. So one thing I did want to clarify, because I know it came up there at some point, and I don't know if it was answered, but one thing was that sheriffs who are on highway patrol members do have full criminal code authority. So if we catch impaired drivers or people with drugs or stuff like that, we do have the authority to deal with that. Our main challenge and where we do lean on the RCMP is processing those. So unfortunately, we don't have that infrastructure to deal with cells and all that sort of stuff. So lodging people, so some of that stuff. So we do deal with our own evidence and all that sort of stuff. However, one of our challenges is the actual prisoner processing part, and that's where we do lean on the RCMP, and that does pose a challenge, I'm sure, for them, because they have to commit resources for that. So we're thankful to have them there to help support us there. So I did want to clarify that. So I thought that was important to mention. So I'll give you a couple of updates. I did bring one of the sergeants with me from our new interdiction patrol team, and he's got some updates for them from their side. I do recall the last time I spoke, interdiction patrol team program was getting going. I wasn't here last time. I had some issues. I have a failing mother I had to deal with who has dementia, so I wasn't able to update then.
if I can interrupt for a minute, is your mic on?
Oh. a little light. Can you hear me now, Dave?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, great.
Thank
So,
you.
great. So just to give a couple of updates, and I don't know if they mentioned this morning, but I know that what I've been told, part of the plan is for the members of the current sheriff's branch, so that includes highway patrol and a bunch of our units, they will move over to the new agency that Chief Parhar will be the chief of. There'll be, like he mentioned, there'll be sort of two tiers to that. There'll be peace officers and police officers. There are certain designated parts of the sheriff's branch that will be, that perform more police-like functions, things like highway patrol, the surveillance teams, the scan teams. Scan is the units that look after the safer communities and neighborhoods. They're the ones who are often in the news for shutting down drug houses, things like that. So those units will move over and likely be part of the policing world. So just as a little add-on to what was mentioned this morning. All right. One new project that's going on right now is the Axon body cam project that we currently all the highway patrol vehicles have cameras and audio mics inside the vehicles that record everything for traffic stops and all those sort of interactions. We always have actually since we began in 2005. However, we are moving to a body cam project, so which is Axon, which is similar to what the RCMP have. That is currently being rolled out. I'm told that should be done and completed by June 2026, because it's for the whole branch. So that's about a little over 1,000 members. So that's going to take some time to do. So that is we are in the process of that. We do have members who partner with the Foothills School Division. Sergeant Suffolk looks after this. He looks after partnering with them for their, they have a photo, they have videos, I believe, on the school buses, and they actually partner with us to capture people, for example, passing school buses. Things like that, whenever signs are out illegally. And then we follow up and charges are laid where there's evidence for that sort of stuff. So that is something that we're partnering with them on. That's going very well. And of course, like someone, I think Jen mentioned earlier about check stop. So this is check stop season. Obviously, December is a big time for check stop for us. So that's coming up. We'll be partnering with the RCMP for that. We are admittedly pulled in a lot of directions at times. So Calgary Police, are always looking for a bit of help. We are partnering a bit with the Tsuut'ina Nation Police Service as well, members, for some check stops. So we're hoping to hit a little bit of each area, and leverage some of those relationships as well. But our main goal is for my High River team is to focus on their area. So most of our time is spent down in this area, and a lot of it has been spent in the last several months on commercial vehicle stuff as well. So that's always a big part. They're very busy at the Aldersyde MIS, which is the inspection station there just off Highway 2. They've been very successful there, very busy, and it's a nicer time of year. So when they're crawling trucks and things like that, it's nice to get out before the snow flies or before it's -30, because it's harder to do that stuff whenever there's 2 feet of snow on the ground and it's like I said, -30 or -40. So those are great times to do check stops and things like that, and partner with other agencies in the RCMP for things like that, for those initiatives.
As I mentioned, interdiction patrol team is up and running. Actually, Sergeant Quintero works out of Calgary. There's several teams that he looks after his team, obviously out of Calgary, but I'll let him give you some info, some of the new initiatives they're doing, and maybe he can answer some questions if you have about IPT. So, yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. I am Sergeant Quintero, Jose Quintero. As Inspector Delaney said, I'm in charge of the Calgary located interdiction patrol team. What that consists of is myself and 6 members. What our main focus is high volume traffic stops, and we're actively seeking those that are moving illegal items, guns, drugs, wanted persons, persons that are just out being a menace to our communities. So with that, we target passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles, and just for some knowledge, what that entails for us and what I tell my team is there's nothing off the table. I might pull you over for a broken taillight. Doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to be enforced for that broken taillight, but I'm making sure that everything's on the up and up before we get you on the road, right? That's how we locate the folks that we're looking for and the items that we're looking for as far as criminality there. We have the capability to deploy drones, and we have done so in the past in Edmonton, where we've assisted an RCMP detachment up that way. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but each team does have drones. If they don't have them already, they are coming. We have both a mini drone and a larger drone that we're able to deploy, and these are things that we're trying to make known to our local RCMP detachments in the event that they have something, they don't have that resource right at hand. We are capable of trying to help there as well. We have canines. That's something new to the sheriffs. We have 2 canines that are operational at present. There is one in the Calgary in my team. There's one in the Edmonton team, and we have 2 other canine teams that are in training with CPS. We've had a really great partnership with them to get that up and running and successful. And that's another thing that I want to and try to tell the detachments. They have, RCMP have great canine services, and they have all the things that they need. I don't know how fast or readily available they are, but if they need something quick, and our dogs are just detection dogs, so we're just for the narcotics and things of that nature. We have 7 teams in the province. I don't know how far in depth Inspector Delaney went to in the past when he brought up the interdiction patrol teams. We have a team, of course, in Edmonton, a team in Calgary, and we have a team in Medicine Hat, and then 4 other teams dispersed along Lethbridge and the Burmis area in our southern part of the province. What else do I have here? We participate in all JFOs, so Joint Forces operations with CPS, EPS, RCMP, doing check stops, doing commercial vehicle inspection type check stops, and as well as with our Fish and Wildlife counterparts. We do stuff, of course, with them all the time. Scan teams, we do, there was mention of the scan teams in Edmonton and North Calgary, our North region. We've had lots of collaborative work with the scan teams where our interdiction patrol teams are with them. Maybe they are working a file on a house and they need something done. We are able to make those traffic stops and further those investigations. And we're looking to continue that down here in the south as well. They do that already in Lethbridge, and we're just trying to get it up and off the ground more here in the Calgary and surrounding areas. My team is responsible for east-west highways out of Calgary and north-south. So we do come down to the Claresholm area, as far down as Claresholm. We'll meet up with Lethbridge teams around the Nanton area, and then out to Brooks and also to Banff in the National Park in that area. It will be my endeavor to reach out to more of our RCMP partners and see what we can do to help collaborative work with, or just partner up with whatever it is they would like. We are that kind of extra resource if they want to use it. And yeah, I don't know a whole bunch more that I can put out without any questions that kind of direct my mind. So hopefully, if there's any I can answer.
Jen?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you so much. That was very informative. Do you happen to have statistics on what, let's say when you're doing just the basic traffic stop, let's say for broken taillight, that it actually turns into something where you find more illegal guns, smuggling, whatever that is? Do you have stats on that, or is that just?
I don't have any stats right now, but you know, it's one of those things where something very minute just has the potential to snowball into something bigger. So it's kind of right now, without going back and looking and seeing what all we've actually done, I don't have any stats for you on that.
There is a new IPT analyst. I believe that position was just filled.
Yes.
Right? So that was a position that was just filled, I think within the past 2 weeks, I believe. And I believe that's part of their mandate, I believe, or part of their function is to start pulling that data. I know that just anecdotally, Rob and I were out August, I think. Get exactly when it was. It was in the summer because we were on motorcycles, and his team had stopped a vehicle up by just by the
Out of Okotoks.
Yeah, just
Staff Zeke and his team helped us out in the cell block and their detachment with.
yeah, just by the 2A exit there, and it I think it was maybe a speeding stop.
It was a
Something-
what the stop
Commercial
was
vehicle.
actually was. It was a commercial vehicle. He proceeded from the stop sign unsafe, crossed in the path of oncoming traffic. They had to stop, and
Right.
one of my members that was on the way down saw that and made that stop.
And I think there was drugs and weapons and stuff, and so that snowballed. But that's So that's just an example of something like that. But again, anecdotally, that's just one snapshot, right? But I do know that's that's part of that new analyst position that that's their task, to start pulling some of these stats because people are asking.
Well, because also that's a mandate for the federal government, right? With the border control as well as what Premier Smith has wanted. So you're finding it's effective in dealing with, let's say, the fentanyl, any of the smuggling of illegal drugs, guns, whatever that is? Or you're finding that your unit is effectively covering that off?
So personally, I won't quantify how effective or it is, but I know with my colleagues talking and even I think comments from you, visibility is a big deterrence. And so by us being out doing high volume vehicle stops, I think just the red and blue lights that are out on the highways and patrolling the secondary highways and making those stops, I don't know that we'll be able to quantify the change in behavior we've done there. But I believe all enforcement is important and does tend to bring results that we may not ever really be able to quantify.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dave?
Yeah, this is more of a question of interest. Doesn't really affect Foothills County, but can Alberta sheriffs enforce anything in federal parks, like you mentioned, Banff, Jasper, Waterton?
Yes, sir. Yes, yeah. So I myself, I was actually stationed in Banff for a few years before I moved back to Calgary. So we do routinely patrol Banff, Lake Louise, all out through there. Same authorities. Sergeant Quintero's team routinely does go out and do interdiction work throughout Banff. And I have teams that are based in Cochrane, and they do like the actual national park is part of their patrol area.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so, do I understand correctly that you're more intelligence driven in your enforcement, or opportunities as well? It sounds like you had one example there that you just discussed, clearly an opportunity, but are
Yes,
you
so-
intelligence driven?
So hopefully with the introduction of our analysts being put on the team, we will be both. Right now, it is more proactive driven.
Okay.
My members and the members of the other teams are out self-generating these files and looking for indicators of criminality when we're making these stops. And that's where we're at right now. And I believe we're having a lot of success. One thing coming around the holiday season, the one thing that I can tell you with high volume traffic stops is we are intercepting a lot of impaired drivers because, as you guys know, mass is something that's out there. So that's something that my team, as well as all the highway patrol sheriffs, do as well. With every lawful traffic stop, there is a breath sample taken through the mandatory alcohol screening a process that's going on in the country since 2018.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Suzanne?
Thank you. Just following up on what you said was proactive approach. Is that under basically the mandates that are created within the agency that you would follow up with this particular branch, that you would take action based on that versus a call that would come in? Is that how you organize the responses?
So right now, in times past when we were integrated with the RCMP traffic services, we were in the practice of taking calls. There's not a mechanism in place at present that allows us to be a call taking, responding type of service. We do assist. We will and can assist other agencies that are needed if they are needing us. For example, bolos that come out, be on the lookouts for whatever it is that is coming on. When those are aired to us, that's something that is not necessarily a call taking aspect, but something that now was a call taking responsibility for that agency. And now we're able to have eyes out for it as well. But until such time as I think we go forward with whatever model is coming and we're actually dispatched calls, we're going to always be proactive until that time.
So if I might,
Was that kind of answering that question?
yeah, it just leads to kind of, I'm just trying to figure out how you move throughout a day, and essentially you have each other on through a dispatch or through speed dial or whatever you have for help. It sounds like you help each other out a lot in your different agencies, and that you're there to assist, whether it's with the units that you were mentioning, the drones, the K9s, the everything, this joint forces operation. So I imagine those are planned, but some of the other ones are going to be, we need your help today. So you end up dropping what you're doing and heading out over to this other direction. So is it pretty much a fluid day to day where you make some of those decisions as well?
It is kind of fluid. So with my unit, for example, and it's just one example, I have patrol plans made up for the month. And today, my team, let's say, is scheduled to go to north of Calgary, Highway 22, feeder highways, 5, 6, 7, that sort of thing. And that's what I planned for us to be up and working that area today. Well, when we get into those detachment areas, that's when we can call the detachment or switch over to a channel and say, hey, we're in the area if you need anything, and then go back to our regular channel type of situation. And then our two dispatches would talk to each other if they're looking together. We do have the ability to patch through and go to the same channels for larger events if something was happening. But primarily we're on our dispatch, they're on their dispatch, but each we try and let everyone know when we're in the area. That way, if they do need something, we can collaborate
Okay.
like that during the day.
So you mentioned you have 7 teams, and then from your previous explanation, Inspector Delaney mentioned that there's 6 districts for the sheriffs, and that you're number 5, which is Calgary West.
Right.
So does your response of your particular patrol, does that fit within that zone, or do you go wherever you're supposed, your kind of your initiative or where your proactive approach goes?
So that is where there's a bit of an anomaly because my team, for instance, in the Calgary area and other IPT teams are not assigned to a specific district.
Okay.
Prior to me coming to the interdiction patrol team, I was the sergeant in the Airdrie unit, which was within District 4. So I stayed within District 4, and that was my boundary, and that's what I stayed within my patrol area. As an interdiction patrol team, I do not have a district that is my tether. So we do go into District 4, we go into District 5, we meet up with teams in District 6, and that's kind of where my patrol plan that I put out sends my team for that day, and we know where we'll be and which detachment areas we will be in.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not bound by that.
Thank you for all the information.
Yeah, and it's not terribly dissimilar than what we're doing in our district operations and our traffic services operations. So back to the intelligence-led part, we do try to gather collision data. Some of that is useful. Some of it, it is quite useful to know whenever we're creating patrol plans. We do have patrol plans for each office, and part of that is some of those hot spots sometimes are determined by other stakeholder input. So the sergeants and the patrol officers, talk to people in the community, or we get phone calls, we get complaints, things like that. We talk to members of the RCMP, and they'll mention, hey, there's issues over here. So we build those things into patrol plans. There's a big issue now, for example, around Bragg Creek and some of the trucking stuff down there. So we build those items into patrol plans as well. So we try and use that. Now, like Sergeant Quintero said, sometimes you'll have a patrol plan and it'll have you going over to a certain area on a certain day, and all of a sudden you get a blizzard, and then you get a pivot, and the sergeants manage that on a daily basis, right? So the RCMP are inundated with crashes, for example, on Highway 2. So the members will have to pivot and they'll go and help because that's sort of that's our goal, is to be useful and to make sure that we're helpful. So they'll go and help with crashes for the day, for example. So that would be our district operations responsibility. So just to give you an idea of how they go, but same structural idea. There's still a patrol plan. It's structured, and if everything goes well, or if everything goes to plan, the members will stick to that, but sometimes you have to change things up. So, yeah. Good.
Good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
gentlemen.
very much.
It's great.
Thank
Great
you.
to have it. So Fish and Wildlife where do they fit in to you guys?
They are a separate division of the branch. And I was thinking earlier, and maybe this is something for Mr. Stapley, but perhaps it might be helpful to have maybe one of their managers come out to one of the meetings.
He was here on our last meeting. So
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it Superintendent Miller or?
Oh, not a manager. He was one of them.
Oh, okay. It was the sergeant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just a separate division. And granted, we do work in the same office. The High River office with Sergeant Suffolk has highway patrol members and Fish and Wildlife officers in the same office. So, oh yeah, that's right. Same as Sergeant Quintero's office. So.
Okay.
So
good.
There's often talk, and there's coffee talk, and there's often partnering up too. There's been some check stops recently where they do joint operations just down in Bragg Creek recently as well, but with for some hunting season things, licenses, and they'll often do check stops as well at the same time.
Good, good. Dave, Dave, we're running behind here, so we'll have to speed up.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Ted. Quick question. This is more for commercial vehicles. And I'm wondering if there's anything just average citizens can do. Like the other couple of weeks ago, my wife and I had an incident where a dump truck with a pup ran through a red light as we were trying to turn onto the road. And it was pretty obvious there were a lot of violations on that dump truck. He was running with his four ways on because I don't think he could stop. You know, he wasn't tarped. He had busted lights, and yeah, I think he had a busted spring. Can an ordinary citizen call that in? And how would you do that if you can?
Absolutely, Dave. So this question does come up. I mean, and maybe you're aware it probably does come up a lot. It's not uncommon. So yeah, so it can be called in. I always tell people, if you can get a license plate, then whoever it's being called into can follow up on it. I always advise people that the police of jurisdiction is your first primary resource there. So, excuse me, if you're going to call 911, if it's a public safety issue, I always advise that. And I mean, running red lights and dump trucks and things that are overweight, that can be extremely dangerous. So that would be someone's primary recourse there, calling 911, getting a license plate if possible, and reporting it to the police of jurisdiction. Sometimes those issues, Dave, are bigger. Like, for example, I have a complaint about commercial vehicle overloads and some other commercial vehicle related issues down by Bragg Creek because of our project down there. So that's a bigger issue that we're addressing, that was called in, and we're addressing now by setting up some proactive checks. Like, I don't want to call them check stops, but they're commercial vehicle compliance checks down there. So they're going to be checking, obviously, they'll be doing MAS, which is mandatory alcohol screening on the drivers. They'll be checking licenses. They'll be checking commercial vehicle equipment on the vehicle. They'll be checking weights and dimensions on those vehicles. So they'll be weighing the vehicles because that was part of the complaint as well. So those are two, right? Obviously, your primary one is 911 if it's a public safety issue. And number two would be if it's a bigger, a bigger issue, generally speaking, then they might want to get a hold of our office or the RCMP, and the RCMP might refer someone if it's more commercial vehicle in depth. They might refer them to us. That often happens because we have a lot of subject matter experts for those things. And we can start looking after it. I do know that some of the counties have a lot of the peace officers do a lot of the CVSA stuff as well. So if it's a bigger issue and it's not an emergency issue that has to be handled right at that moment, they might want to go down that road as well. I hope that helps, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great, thank you.
It's good for your presentation. Thank you. At this point, we'll move on to Foothills Enforcement, and we have a presentation for the third quarter report by our service aids managers, Mr. Joels.
No, so thank you. Okay, so through the chair to the floor, good morning, everyone. Still, thanks for letting me address council here, address you, the board here this morning. with the third quarter report. It's going to cover the period from July 1st to September 30th. And over this period, our call volume remained pretty consistent with our third quarter from last year. I think there's a difference of about 4 calls. And we might be able to assess that with just an efficiency that we changed in process at the beginning of last quarter with regards to court files. The top 3 calls for service over the last 3 months were the responsible dog ownership bylaw, the community standards bylaw specifically to unsightly and noise, and then finally requests for speed enforcement, that provincial statute. Most of the complaints did come from the northern northern third of our county. Going back to July and August, as the bylaw complaints slowed due to summer holidays, etc., it allowed our officers to focus on traffic enforcement and education. As a result of that, officers wrote 336 tickets and provided 72 warnings to drivers across the county. The top 5 traffic enforcement offenses would have been speeding, failed to produce insurance, failed to produce registration, failed to obey a traffic control device such as a stop sign or a red light, and then finally operating an unregistered motor vehicle on a highway. We had a couple of top local roads for enforcement, and I'll stop there briefly and just explain. It's my fault. File 13 is a bit of a mess when you look at some of those stats. So if we can just, I just signed the contract yesterday, so if you can give me 1 day's grace, I'll get that fixed for next time. New to the role, but it's my fault. But to that point, our local roads, 32 Street north of Okotoks, we get a lot of complaints for both speeders and stop signs. And so it's legitimate every time we go there. People are doing it over and over again. So we will continue to visit that. And then the other one is 176th Street West out past Diamond Valley. I noticed over the summer that there were some local drivers that we were pulling over, but it was really a transient group that were coming from somewhere north and using 176 to make their way down to Highway 22 as they carried on down towards Montana and BC. I already know that just because they shared that information with us at the time. As we transited around the county, as you can imagine, we have to cross over some primary roads. And an example of that is Highway 2 and 2A. Being new, I've only been here for the last 6 or 7 months. I didn't realize just how much traffic work needs to be done within the county, and for sure on Highway 2. Just leaving the office and transiting up Highway 2 to go over to Dunbar Road, for example, we would pull people over regularly, and I think we had statistically the average was 33 kilometers over the limit. That's 143 kilometers an hour. So we had to, not that we ever set up on Highway 2 or any of those areas, but we simply had to, with due diligence, and just had to do what was right by pulling them over and dealing with that. So our summer bylaw officer, he was with us from May to near the end of August, and he carried out several different assignments for us over that time. These included some basic bylaw, dog bylaw type calls, as well as legal sign usage. He worked with our University of Mount Royal practicum student. And during their time together, they carried out 103 deployments of speed trailers and traffic counters. Our speed trailers, we would deploy both for internal reasons. So we might have a road crew that said, hey, you know what, we're going over to this location today. Can we're a little bit concerned about the traffic speed around there. Can you have a trailer come out? And we would readily go out and help them where we could. And then, of course, we would get complaints from either council or other citizens that were interested in having speed trailers out in different locations. So we would put those there. Something I'd never worked with before, but I find is a really cool tool is the traffic counters or the armadillos. I think you're all aware of what those are. And we found they were a really effective tool. The size of our group, we're pretty small. It's a large area to cover, but the armadillos allow us to really focus our resources on the places that are legitimate and where we can go and we can make a difference, right? So the other part to that too is sometimes the armadillo information was helpful because we could have an honest conversation with somebody backed up by some statistics, right? Everyone, when they think there's a speeder, perception, perhaps they're right, but sometimes they're not. And so for us to be able to show them that over this past 7 days, we had this many, vehicles going north and going south at this time of the day, and these were the average speeds. It made those conversations just a little bit easier to have sometimes with people. And then finally, the officer, the bylaw officer and our summer student worked together to develop an educational sort of road safety pamphlet, and they were handing that out over July and August before they went on their way. I do have copies of that here if anyone was interested in that. In summary, call load appears to be consistent with last year, but traffic enforcement and education has risen significantly, obviously in large part because we have more officers now, but also we have a renewed focus on that as well. And I do want to stress the education point to this is very important. In my own career, I would probably guess that 60% of the people that I pulled over as a police officer were given a ticket. The other 40% were educated. We had a conversation and we carried on. And that's how I hope to carry on business here within the county. In the next quarter or currently, we will be continuing to work closely with schools. There's always a lot of complaints about, parents and parking and pickups, et cetera. So we will focus our resources on that. And then we also are working with our peace officer brethren, both in Vulcan, Okotoks Municipal, and Willow Creek, where we're going to get together here in late December prior to Christmas. We're looking to do a 3-day GFO with them and just moving around our locations. And then finally, in the next quarter, I'm going to be actually reaching out to members like yourselves here on the board, as well as members of council, inviting them to come out on peace officer ride-alongs. I know it might not be of interest to some people, but I have experience in those as well. And I really found it was a positive experience, both for myself as an officer, as well as whatever official was out with me that day when we did them. It's a chance to have, just easy conversations in a car as we're going to a call or we're dealing with traffic enforcement, whatever that might be. And so it's a chance for that official to learn a little bit more about what we do. It's also a chance for the officer to really kind of understand what the officials need from them, right, individually. And then I guess that firsthand, you're in the moment. If you've got questions, you can get the answers you're looking for, as opposed to waiting or having to ask for people, right? You get a chance to talk to people right there at the time. And I think there's real value in that. And to that end, I've reached out to MLA RJ Sigurdsson, and he's on board to join me for Ride Along in January. So do I have any questions?
Yeah, JD or RD.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's Chair I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, we haven't met you yet. I haven't met you, so I'm not sure that, so I was just kind of wondering who you are.
Apologies.
Introductions, and then GFO. So my pet peeve is acronyms because I'm not an RCMP officer. So GFO, going fishing officers.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm RD, by the way.
I did know that. So my name is Gareth. We did actually meet when I arrived here a few months ago, RD, and I police officer for the last 26 years. I retired recently in January, and I live in Okotoks, and now I have a chance to work in the county where I live. I have a 15-year-old going to school and live locally, have many friends in the area. And it's a JFO, my apologies. It's just a joint forces operation. I hate those things too. So I understand where you're coming from.
Well, I think, Jen, you got
I
something?
was just gonna say, so if we wanted to do the ride along, do we just reach out to your office directly? Is that how that works?
Yeah, directly to the office at 6300 number, or you can contact me as well.
Okay,
So
perfect. Thank you.
I think I'll put something out in an email, and then I can get something organized over the next 2 or 3 months where we can get out and go do those. So cool.
Good. Well, welcome to have you here. And yeah. Oh, have you got a question, Suzanne? So
Typically, I know we're running behind, but I noticed on the stats, there's sure a lot of dog stuff going on. So just any comments on that and just how to approach it all?
Sorry, Counselor, I'm a member of that hearing aid group and I don't have mine in. And so I didn't actually catch it.
It's a theme from today, and we are working on the sound system in here, just so everyone knows. One thing I noticed in the stats was there's a lot of dog complaints and follow-ups and running at large and all that sort of thing. So is there just any comment on how we're dealing with that?
Comment generally on our dog complaints. It's certainly one of the, I guess, the highest repeat sort of offending call for sure. And we always try that process where, you know, it's that friendly conversation. If we have the dog and I realize that by time when people have decided to reach out to us, they've probably already tried or made those attempts to talk to their neighbors, right? They've already reached their point of frustration. And so they're reaching out to us. But I can't speak to like any kind of statistics, but we would just start with that conversation. If we have the dog, you know, generally speaking, that's going to go to a safe place before it goes back. I would probably say, again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we probably have about an 80% success rate in fixing those issues. But the 20% we don't is a little more hardcore. And then, of course, then we have to take those next steps in the process. So.
Great. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Thanks, Jerome.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to, I apologize, we're running close to noon here, but so I'll start with Dave. If you'd give us an update on High Country quickly and we'll go from there.
Sure. Since the last meeting, we've done 2 or 3 fan outs, Mountie Moments, the paving scam. We did talk or did present the process for reporting collisions online. We had 2 articles in the High Country News. One was based on Staff Sergeant Zink's comment that vehicle thefts were up. So we addressed most stolen vehicles and what you can do to protect yourself. The second article is on detecting credit card fraud. And then we had hoped to have a High Country Rural Crime Watch general meeting in October, but venues didn't allow it. So we'll try and do that later on this year. That's it.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, Paul?
Okay, I'll be brief as well. Really just want to notify everybody that we had a very successful annual general meeting back on November the 5th. And I would recommend to our sister associations that to attract attention or attendance rather at those AGMs, get a couple of speakers or a speaker who is going to be of interest. So we had, for example, Crown Counsel speaking, and at the same time, not at the same time, followed by a defense counsel. So it was quite interesting. We had all kinds of good feedback afterwards that people didn't understand the relationship between Crown and defense and that kind of thing. And as I say, you get the right speakers there and you advertise and you're bound to get a greater attendance, which is what we did. We got a few new members. I think we got 10 new members out of that meeting and so on. Currently, Staff Sergeant Zink and I are in discussions about how we as an association can improve our assistance to the police. So we're just kicking around ideas, but we're looking at ways of Rural Crime Watch actually doing what I believe we're supposed to be doing, is helping the police. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all I can say.
Thanks, Paul. Well, for our standpoint, we've got our meeting coming up on December the 9th. And I think as far as membership, for us, it seems like the only way that we're going to get more members is to physically one-on-one meet with people and say, you know, here we are, it's $20, it's a one-time thing. And what the heck, why aren't you signed up? And that's what I've been doing, and it works. So that's what, but anyway, on the 9th, we have 2 new members on board that are both past our CMP. So yeah, we're in good shape that way. So that's kind of what we're looking for. At this point, then I would ask that we have Peter give his update on what's happening on his aspect.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Included in your package today was a report from the PRC. It's another one of the monthly updates regarding staffing and where they're at with process and getting established. I would also add that I attended the AAPG's of our Association of Police Governance presentation by Curtis Zablocki, and he indicated that the PRC is on track for launching on December 1st. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, Artie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Stapley. So I'm drawing a blank. Gareth must have joined us during combine season. But it seems to me that we just had another member retire the other day. So just a little refresher where we are municipally, and I guess where the previous gentleman fits in the equation.
Just through the chair to Councillor McHugh. So Officer Gareth Joels is the acting manager of municipal enforcement. He has taken on the acting role after Sergeant Bodette left for retirement. And we are looking at how we're going to manage that with the future with a more permanent solution as the retirement of Mr. Bodette takes effect at the end of this month.
Any other question? No? Okay, then do we have any reason to go have a confidential? Anybody got anything that needs to be in camera? If not, then we'll bypass that one. And round table, anything on conversation there? Suzanne.
Thanks. I had a couple things, but since we're short of time, I'll leave some of them. But just wanted to mention that we were just up at the Rural Municipalities Association meeting this week, and I did have a chance to ask the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services a question during the Bear Pit session. And at that time, I mentioned that we're all doing our budgets and wondered when the price tag was going to come in for the policing this year. As last year, if you recall, we got a buy on the year and in a year off of an increase because the contract negotiations with the RCMP led to a 39% increase, if you recall that news from last year. And we got a chance for a year off with the municipalities paying that increase. So we were able to hold the line for a year. And then the question I posed was, when are we going to find out about the price tag since we're doing our budgeting right now? And the minister stated that we would find that out before Christmas. So it sounds like a Christmas present. So I did chat with our director of our finances, and the price tag overall that was held was about $27 million. And that has to be distributed amongst all the municipalities, the 69 municipalities that are the rurals. That there might be some kind of configuration and formula that has yet to be shared with us, and probably Reg is more familiar than we are yet. But we were just wondering what that would look like for Foothills County, as we're currently, if I have it correctly, around 2 million, and then that might be an additional 800 to $1 million. So we're going to find out all the news coming up soon and the hit to us to our additional taxes. And someone did also ask at the meeting whether that we could start showing that as a line item as opposed to having to not disclose what that is. And so that when it comes out for taxes, the citizens will understand what is the municipal budget and what is additional requisitions from the province quite identified. We do mention it in a letter, but we're asking to be able to identify that quite clearly, how the schools and policing and other requisitions are affecting the tax bill at the end of the year. So I just wanted to share that. Also mentioned that we had a concern that we're continuing to put at an all-time high towards our resource, our finances and contributions to our overall policing requirements. And at the same time, we're facing staffing levels and resource issues at the local level. So those two were brought forward, and the minister heard those, which was nice to know that, and that our voice is being heard directly. Just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Artie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to the members at large, any comments on the policing availability of labor? Is it the same for Calgary Police Service and Edmonton Police Service as it is for the RCMP? Is this just going to be an ongoing problem?
I can answer it just from that perspective. Yes. The Calgary Police Service is struggling, as is Edmonton, as is Grand Prairie, for hiring. And on that note too, I'm just wondering, this is just throwing it out there, cognizant of time. When the RCMP are saying they're 50% down, are we paying for those positions to not be filled? I'm just wondering from a.
Can you answer, Peter?
So through the chair, my understanding is that we receive an invoice for the RCMP costs based on population and a number of other factors, and whether or not those positions are filled does not play into that invoice cost.
Great.
Thank you.
Comment? Did I? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's another world, ain't it? I'll shut up. Okay, at this point, our next meeting is scheduled tentatively to January the 20th, and I would ask for a motion for adjournment. Jim gives me that. All in favor? Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
You only pay 30% of the total cost.